What is going on, Patriots Nation? This is Jace back with another edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Today, I'm going to be jumping into whether the Patriots should be looking at Drake Maye or Caleb Williams. Obviously, it's dependent on if they finish with the first or second overall pick, and that depends on who gets drafted first. I'm going to look at both of these quarterbacks a little bit more in depth, give you guys a little bit more information, and talk about who I think could be a great option for the Patriots if they have to choose between one or the other. Well, make sure you guys let me know down below and like and subscribe what your guys' opinions are. Without further ado, let's get right into this video. Real quick, guys, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. With Underdog's NFL Pick'em, they make it super easy to win big on any given night. They have individual player props or daily fantasy and are legal in 41 of the 50 states. Right now, they are doubling your first deposit up to $100 when you use code PATSDRIVE or use the link in the description. All you have to do is select higher or lower and submit your wager for as low as $1 to win anywhere from 3 times to 20 times your money. You can also compete against thousands in Underdog Fantasy's daily fantasy tournaments ranging anywhere from football to baseball to basketball. Whatever sport it is, there's a tournament for you. Now with Underdog's Pick'em Insurance, you can still win money even if one of your picks does not hit. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Make sure to use code PATCHDRIVE or use the link in our description to get started today. All right, well, let's jump right into this discussion about kind of who I think and why I think there's not so much as a very obvious number one overall pick. I do think that maybe a lot more people are leaning Caleb Williams than Drake Maye, but I think this gap is a lot closer than what people might be thinking. Now, let's start off with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is coming out of USC, obviously was the Heisman Trophy winner last year. Tremendous season last year. No one's arguing what he did, and it was spectacular. He threw for 4,500 yards, had 42 total touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He also added 382 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. That was in 2022. This year, USC had a little bit of a down year. A lot of people had high expectations for them. Caleb Williams only throws for 3,600 yards and 30 touchdowns. And then he didn't have quite as many rushing yards as the year before. He only had 136, but he did have 11 touchdowns. So a lot of those coming short yardage. Now, people might be sitting here thinking, Caleb Williams is this generational prospect. He is. There's no arguing. Like, he might be one of the best quarterback prospects to come out since Andrew Luck. Maybe some might argue Trevor Lawrence. He is a once in a lifetime prospect because of what he can do with both his arm and his legs. He's very good outside of structure. When things break down, he's able to create. And sometimes that's also to his disadvantage. He has a very good arm, though. He can make almost every throw on the field. I'll get into Drake Maye. I do think Drake Maye has a little bit of a stronger arm, but that's not taking away from Caleb. Caleb Williams has a very good arm. He can throw everywhere on the field. He can throw intermediate. He can throw deep. He can throw short. Good accuracy. And what makes Caleb Williams so, dynamic and why people love him, in my opinion, is because of what he does with his legs, how he extends the play. It's almost Patrick Mahomes like. You've heard that comparison most likely. What he can do extending the play when things break down, when he doesn't have enough time. He can either extend the play and continue to throw the ball down the field, or he can also run the ball and, make teams pay. The one thing about Caleb, he's 6'1", 220, and that's not bad size at all. I'm not saying that he's a small quarterback, but compared to Drake Maye, who Drake Maye is 6'4", 232 pounds, a little bit more of that bigger body, a little bigger frame. That's why he has that stronger arm. He can throw it down the field, very effective with it, has almost a cannon, and that comes into play in almost one of his cons. He needs to learn to throw with a little bit better touch. Drake Maye does. He has the ability to rope throws in there. He needs to learn to throw with a little bit more touch in the NFL to be effective. But he's tall, built well, prototypical. And this is where I think people get confused about Drake Maye. Everyone knows Caleb Williams could run the ball. Drake Maye has more career rushing yards than Caleb Williams does. Drake Maye this year had 450 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. He doesn't have the touchdown numbers. In 2022, he had almost 700 yards. He was 698 yards and 7 touchdowns. So Drake Maye can run the ball too. He has a little bit more of a bigger frame. He can take more of those hits. Not as fast, but he has the ability to scramble. Like Drake Maye can play out of structure. It's not like it's Caleb Williams. That's the only one that can do it. Now, Caleb Williams is way more effective than Drake Maye is, but he can do that. And then, talking about his passing stats, he had 4,300 yards and 38 touchdowns last season. And then again, UNC a little bit of a bummer year this year too, especially on the offensive side compared to what they were expected to do. Only 3,600 yards and 24 touchdowns. But Drake Maye, he had the ability to go to probably any school outside of, Oregon with Bo Nix, Michael Penix at Washington, obviously Caleb Williams. There was probably 90 to 95% of colleges that would have taken Drake Maye as a transfer. He decides to stay at North Carolina. Team's not that good. That doesn't mean that Drake Maye needs to suffer for that. Drake Maye is still a great and almost a generational prospect in himself. When you're looking at these guys both throwing the deep ball, they both can throw the deep ball with the best of them. Drake Maye a little bit better and a little bit more effective, and he did it more. Drake Maye threw 85 total passes over 20 yards this year. Caleb Williams only threw 66. Drake Maye completed 40 of those, and Caleb Williams completed 34. Well, you look at touchdowns, or you look at yards, Drake Maye threw for almost 100 more yards, 1452 to 1342. So a little bit better of a deep ball thrower is Drake Maye. I do think that Caleb Williams, he did improve his completion percentage this year, which I think was impressive, and that was one of the knocks. So last year he was at 66%, and now he's at 68%, and so almost around that 70% mark is really good. Drake Maye has only completed a career high of 66%, and that was last season. So Caleb Williams improves his accuracy a little bit more and improves his completion percentage, and you're looking at a guy that is able to do a lot of things out of structure, and he's still completing passes at a high percent. It's not really like Anthony Richardson was last year, where a lot of people were concerned, well, he's never completed over 60%. Caleb Williams has done it for 2 straight years. The other thing that I love about both of these guys, they don't turn the ball over very often. These guys are very smart with the ball. Drake Maye a little bit more so, but that also comes with because he's not trying to make as many plays as Caleb Williams is. He's not coming out of structure quite as much. So Drake Maye, and he also had a better big time throw percentage. Drake Maye had 34 big time throws according to PFF. Caleb Williams had 27, and then turnover worthy plays. Caleb Williams had 18, and Drake Maye only had 10, which was 1.9% of his throws. So we all know the Patriots have had struggles, especially at the quarterback position this season, with turning the ball over. So bringing in guys, whether it's either one of these guys, to take care of the football and to be smart with it, I don't think we're going to have quite a problem with finding one of those guys. And then when you're looking at who I would benefit or who I think would be the best for the Patriots, I'm not going to say one or the other, but I don't think Patriots fans need to freak out if we get the number 2 overall pick. If we get Drake Maye at the number 2 overall pick, I think that's a home run, slam dunk. We can build around him for quite the foreseeable future. He has a better arm than Mac Jones coming out of college. The only thing he really didn't do better than Mac Jones in college was a completion percentage, but that's because Mac Jones completed a career or a NCAA record completion percentage. So Drake Maye is going to come out, and if that's who New England gets at this 2nd overall pick, and that's who they decide to go to, I don't really think it's that far of a step down from Caleb Williams. Patriots fans should be excited for him. He's going to come in. He's 2 inches shorter than Justin Herbert, but I think he's very comparable to like a Justin Herbert type of guy. You're not going to worry about balls getting batted at the line of scrimmage. Caleb Williams might have a little bit of a problem with that because he is 6'1". He hasn't had a problem yet so far, but you could see that come up because you're playing a little bit taller, a little bit longer, and a little bit better competition in the NFL. Caleb Williams, to me, is the perfect guy for a team that has weapons, and I don't know if the Patriots have weapons. When Caleb Williams can make things happen and you got guys running down the field, he's going to be able to find them open. They're going to have to play in man coverage. Caleb Williams is going to be very effective. I don't know if the Patriots have that yet. Now, I'm not saying they can't use their 2nd round pick and get a guy or sign someone in free agency. It's also good that both these guys are mobile because we know the restrictions with this offensive line. But I think that playing in structure and a little bit better what Bill O'Brien wants to do probably favors Drake Maye. And I get it. Bill O'Brien was really good with Deshaun Watson. I still think that Drake Maye is good enough of a runner and a scrambler to make plays that Patriots fans shouldn't just be worrying about what Caleb Williams can do with his legs. Caleb Williams is also a guy that almost shoulders too much of the offense. Now, that's a thing because USC had a bummer year this year and they had high expectations and he was very hard on himself. We all know kind of the stuff that he was dealing with, where he was trying to live up to all these expectations and be this generational prospect. And you saw him crying on the sidelines after a game. The guy has passion. The guy wants to win. No one can fault him for that. You're going to bring in a competitor in him, but almost a guy that's too competitive and sometimes tries to take too much of a responsibility on himself. That's not a con. It's just something that will have to be worked out. Drake Maye's used to playing with lesser talent. North Carolina by no means has as much talent as USC and not more than most Power 5 schools. They did have Trez Walker, who is a great receiver, and they've had guys throughout the past that Drake Maye's been throwing to. But in structure with guys that are, a system that requires him to read a little bit more, I think that Drake Maye is a little bit more suited for this. Now, if I'm sitting at the number 1 overall pick and I'm the Patriots and I'm writing the card in and sending it in, I'm not at all saying I'm writing in Drake Maye over Caleb Williams. I don't know if many people would, and we'll find that out here shortly, and we'll see. Maybe Drake Maye gets passed up as quarterback 2 by a guy like Jaden Daniels, who just won the Heisman. But I'm not a fan of Patriots fans looking at it as Caleb Williams is the only guy that can save this team, and Drake Maye is a step down because Drake Maye is a dang good quarterback, and we would be lucky to have him. And right now it's looking like we're going to at least have a chance to get one of these guys. The other argument, which we'll talk about throughout the draft season, is do they pass up on both these guys, sign a veteran, or trade for a young guy, or maybe roll with Zappy? Maybe he shows us something a little bit more these last 3 or 4 weeks, and draft Marvin Harrison Jr., a generational receiver prospect. That's something we'll get into. And you guys, of course, let me know down in the comments below what you think or who you draft. But this is more of a 1A, 1B conversation, and I think that's how we should be viewing it as Patriots fans. It's not a clear number 1 overall guy by Caleb Williams and a clear, number 2 overall guy. It's very, very close, and it's, in my opinion, 1 and 2 are closer than 2 and 3. So what I mean by that is my quarterback 3 as of right now is Bo Nix. I think Jaden Daniels might pass him just because of what he can do also with his legs. But Bo Nix had an outstanding season. I think the gap between Caleb Williams and Drake Maye is closer than what it is between Drake Maye and whoever I'm going to have as my quarterback 3 come time of the draft. So both these guys have cons that they need to improve on. These aren't going to be ready fit guys. And honestly, with the way the Patriots roster looks right now, unless they make significant changes and hit on a ton of draft picks, which is possible because they're going to have a lot of valuable draft picks in the early parts of rounds, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And unless they use their cap space wisely and, can get some immediate impact players, both these guys might struggle. Drake Maye has to work on a little bit of his footwork. And Caleb Williams, maybe needs to look at a little bit more of, and I don't want to say that Drake Maye or that Caleb Williams isn't football smart, but I think that maybe sometimes he lacks a little bit of anticipation. And I think that's because he knows, hey, if this doesn't work, I'll just run it. And that's not a bad thing. That's just not something you can rely on in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. So those are my thoughts on Drake Maye and Caleb Williams. It's going to be fun to watch both of these guys in the combine do stuff like that and see the pre-draft process stuff, where teams have them ranked. And if there's going to be a shift at the number 1 overall spot, whether it's the Bears or the Patriots jump them or someone else trades up, and who they're going to prioritize. So let me know down below, Drake Maye or Caleb Williams, or are you on the other side and you say, let's just roll with Bailey Zappi or sign someone else, or maybe trade back into the 1st for a Michael Penix or someone if they're falling, and draft Marvin Harrison at the 1st or with our 1st overall pick. So let me know down below what you guys think. Of course, like, subscribe, and comment to support the channel. Guys, have a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. You're doing fun, safe travels wherever you're going. Hopefully the Patriots pick up a win this week, and we will talk to you guys next time.